teachers of Reddit, what's the worst thing you have heard a colleague say about a student? When I was in 6th grade, there was this kid. I'll call him Danny. Danny was an idiot of the highest caliber. The kid just sat there with a blank look on his face all day, every day. We are going over the human body and digestion one day and teacher decides to throw Danny an easy question out to boost him up a bit. She asks him how we get liquid into our bodies. Danny sits there with a blank look and says I don't know. She prompts him again by asking how he gets liquid into his body when he's thirsty. Danny replies, I don't know. She is amazingly frustrated by this point and goes as far to ask Danny, how do you get water into your body when you're thirsty? And he replies, I don't know. Through your skin, maybe? She freaks out and loses her shit. He's sitting there looking dazed as always, and Mrs. Teacher charges to the back of the room and grabs his arm. She pulls him out of his seat and drags him to the front of the classroom where there was a sink. The water gets turned on and she shoves his arm into the stream and keeps yelling at him through the skin. Through the skin? How are you feeling now? Are you getting full? Are you getting enough water? You drink water with your mouth. I'm nearly 40 now, and I will remember that scene for the rest of my life with mixed amounts of horror and amusement. There was a kid in my gym class who had a speech impediment, and when he wasn't around the gym teacher would openly do offensive impressions of him in front of all of us students. I used to have 2 math teachers, older men, and they would send various girls to and from each other's classes with important messages to give to the other teacher. Years later I talked to one of the girls and turns out they were sending hot girls dressed in something like a short skirt or a revealing outfit for the other to check out, and the notes always had something gross and raunchy on it. I had a substitute teacher sub for me one day, and in her substitute teacher report for my 8th grade class, she wrote, Jenny, name changed, was lifting up her shirt to show the boys her navel ring. I predict she will be pregnant by next year. Edit. The worst thing I've ever said was directly at one of my students. I caught a kid who's always disruptive, so I'm not too fond of him talking. Told him to stop talking while he was still talking, and he says, I wasn't talking. That's when I snapped and said, what are you, an idiot? I snapped. Sort of. Edit. To the worst or best thing a student said in class was this guy named Justin. So Justin, Sunny, male, and Tanaya are in the same class. Tanaya had this habit of bringing in a big bottle of Sunny D in my class. I took it away and told her she can get it back at the end of class. Towards the middle of class, this exchange happened. Tanaya, can I get my drink back? Me, no. Tanaya, but I'm thirsty. Justin, Tanaya's thirsty. Me, Tanaya, you can get it back after class ends. Tanaya, I want my Sunny D. Justin, she wants Sunny's D. At that point, the entire class busted up laughing. Thankfully, I kept a straight face and told Justin that that's inappropriate. Normally, I'd bust someone for something like that, but damn, it was so clever. I overheard 2 teachers at my school talk about a 16-year-old girl there, saying, she's the kind of slut you hang around at parties, 'cause you just know she's gonna drink too much and pass out somewhere. Then she can't say no. I went to the high school my mom taught at. Teachers were at my house all the time. They never held back anything, and so it is nearly impossible to distill it to a single thing that one of them said. But here are a few that stand out. I fucking hate future valedictorian, but I'm not going to be the one who gives him an A, or his cunt mom will throw a fit. It's not worth the hassle. That fucking kid has no sense of reality. Once his daddy's money stops flowing, he's going to be in prison. I can't wait to visit him there. Regarding 2 attractive twin brothers a year behind me, which one is hotter? I'd fuck them both at the same time. I would kill that little bitch if I could get away with it. A student in 5th grade saw a psychologist to test him for learning difficulties. This was an average student of accepting, educated parents in a private school. The psychologist told the kid's parents that he would never go to college. WTF. How can you limit a 10-year-old's future like that? The parents were upset, but luckily ignored her. His current high school is a much better fit for him, and while he's not top of the class, there's no reason he shouldn't be able to pursue higher education, if that's what he wants. I have a colleague who swears like a sailor. It's her first year in the profession, and she's had about 6 incidents where she's sworn in front of students, usually by letting a fuck or fucking slip out in class. That pales in comparison to the way she speaks about them out of school. Referred to a 15-year-old boy with fetal alcohol syndrome as looking like an abortion. Referred to a girl as being a clitoris. Referred to a student's somewhat overweight mother as a potato dumpling. Pointed out an Aboriginal student by saying the negroid next to the white kid. Even by racist logic this doesn't make sense. Called our principal an unapproachable autistic fuckbag. I heard that some teacher at my school once literally told a student that he was a nasty filthy little piece of shit and that he should go back to the toilet, which he was torn out of. That teacher was really angry and the kid he insulted really was an ass. He got an official warning, but got away unscratched. The kid was one that could handle things like it, so he took it lightly. It sure left an impression though. My senior year of high school I took a freshman class that was required to graduate. My teacher turned to me once when all of the freshmen were being loud and said, "This is why they don't let teachers have guns." This same teacher was arrested the next semester for taping a camera under the sink of one of the handicapped bathrooms. Another teacher was arrested that same semester for having taken pictures with hidden cameras under desks and an iPad which he would slide out from under his desk when students would go up to talk to him. They were stored on his school computer and discovered by a student. His reasoning for doing this was something along the lines of it started as an accident and then became a challenge to see how long I could do it. But get a teacher drunk enough and you hear some shit. Both my parents were friends with a lot of teachers I had in my schools growing up. I would hear teachers talk about what kids to buy weed from, what kids would be failures, what kids would be dead in the next few years, and on one occasion I heard a teacher refer to a student as a stupid whore who will ruin her life before high school. She did get pregnant in 8th grade, but still that's a fucked up thing to say. Our chemistry teacher was taking a class on balancing chemical reactions. There is this couple talking, giggling, and disturbing the class. Our teacher looks at them and says, "You guys have a nice chemistry going. Just don't turn these reactants into products." Taught English in Korea for a year to elementary students, was having a conversation with a teacher after he'd finished his 6th grade class, and I guess he was especially frustrated that day, hearing his hands and goes, "Oh my god, they don't know I could break them with my bare hands if I wanted to." Worked at a Catholic school, overheard a teacher say, "I know we are against birth control, but that kid is a poster child for using condoms." From a colleague of my mum's. They're going to keep passing her and switch her classes and making excuses because her dad is some shitty lawyer friend of the super. I can't fucking wait until she gets accepted to a great uni with her fake transcript. She'll get there, barely knowing how to spell, and finally understand that daddy can't fix her bullshit forever. She'll hit a brick wall and probably resort to making fake rape allegations to try to get her way. I would be shocked, but I work at the same school. Even though I'm just a janitor, well, janitors are invisible. We hear everything. Most of the people in here posting aren't teachers. I do teach, and let me tell you, my colleagues make fun of college students all the time. I have heard plenty of terrible things. Let me list some of my favorites. I honestly don't know how this person got into college, because he can't read or write past a 4th grade level. There is a student who kept hitting on me, so I lost his final paper and said he never turned one in. Part of me wants to say F off to students coming into my office when they have stupid questions. I failed a student because one of his sentences in his research paper was too close to the opening paragraph of the reference paper he was citing. What kind of an idiot does that? I'm failing the majority of my students. He was laughing as he said it. My teacher told us that a couple years before we had her, she had purposely called a student a word that she did not know was inappropriate. She only told us that it was a 7-letter word that started with S. Naturally I dropped everything, stopped paying attention, and started racking my brain for every naught word I knew until 5 minutes after the conversation had ended I screamed scrotum in the middle of algebra. Teacher did not confirm nor deny, which means she confirmed.